Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And while we're working on the full review of the brand new Red Magic 3 for you guys, I figured I'd do a separate video specifically talking about the Red Magic 3 accessories. When we did the initial hands-on, I showed you guys that there is basically a controller and a docking station that are available for this, but they weren't available at that time. And we finally have them in the office. This is TK, this is XDATV. Let's check them out. So the Red Magic 3 is definitely a very unique gaming phone. It runs some of the latest specifications with the Snapdragon 855. We have a dual front-firing speakers, stereo speakers. We have a gaming mode that's specifically designed for this phone. A 48 megapixel sensor in the back, fans, actual fans inside of the phone to be able to allow airflow from the side and the back to cool the system down and make sure for extended gameplay. On top of the fact, we have a fingerprint sensor, a customizable RGB strip, but one of the things that I showed you guys at the first time when we did the hands-on is that we have actually some pogo pins connector here on the bottom. And that's something that enables us to basically use a docking station that is available for this. So if we unlock the device, this is of course a massive 90 Hertz display and go into the gaming zone. First thing we'll notice when we slide down from the right is that we have the handler, and that's the controller, that's the gaming controller that we have, and we also have the docking station. Now the docking station is something that requires us to use this option. So what we're going to do today is, now that we have the gaming controller as well as the docking station, I'm going to show you guys how does that work and what are some of the augmented options that we get once we have that. The gaming controller and the case that you need to have to be able to use the gaming controller. Now these work specifically for Red Magic, as you guys hear. They're designed by Nubia for the Red Magic 3, and this is really cool. So the first thing we'll do is we'll take the case out, and the case is actually nice solid case. Now it's not really intended to give us the best protection, but it's really meant to help us use the actual controller that we need to use on this phone. So we'll go ahead and slide the phone in. The RGB strip is exposed. We'll get the logo here. Of course, the fan is exposed, the camera is open. Everything else is basically pretty much the way you'd expect it. We now have some side rails on the top and on the bottom. And not only that, it gives us the ability of basically using the actual casing. So if you want to use the 3.5mm headphone jack on this phone, you pretty much just have to set it up from here. And if you're trying to basically use the USB Type-C, just be aware that depending on where you put this, this will actually kind of interface there. The actual controller itself has some customizable buttons. So we have 1, 2, so here's the LB, LT. On the bottom, we have the RB, RT, and there's the power on button. So if I can turn it on here, you'll be able to see here, the light is flickering. This is basically asking to try to pair. We have an up and down, right, left, and then of course the joystick. Depending on how you mount it, it basically gives you the different experience. So the way it's set up for me right now, I almost feel like it's intended to be mounted on the left, mostly because of the Joy-Con and the controller here and the power button. But again, you can mount it on the left side, you can mount it on the right side. It depends on the experience that you want to get. Although keep in mind that the joystick now is on the bottom. It's not really as ergonomic as I feel like if it is sitting on the left side. And you don't have a way of flipping it over, so that's one thing you want to keep in mind. Going in directly from the gaming system, we'll notice that the handler is sitting there. So it says supports game, that'll launch it, and it'll give us the ability of customizing them whenever we're in there. So we'll go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and open up Asphalt 9. Again, we still have the ability of customizing our profile. We have the ability of going auto mode, GPU turbo, super, as well as CPU turbo. So keeping it on auto profile right there. The handler is turned on. We have the ability of going back in the game space, standby. We can turn on the fan, turn it off, block messages, super snap, and as well as basically get some statistics here. And of course, from here, we have the ability of going in. And you notice right there, the controller is actually configured and still works the same way as we normally wanted. And the really cool thing about Asphalt 9 is it actually recognizes that I'm using a controller, and by default gave me the profile to be able to customize it so that I know exactly what to do, so that when I'm playing the game, I don't actually have to worry about figuring out what to do. The controller itself, the joystick will work depending on what I want to do. So right now we're going here. You'll notice it's just going straight, and I can actually initiate different things. Let's go ahead and turn on some of the audio. And you notice right there, it's asking me to kind of push the two buttons. So go ahead and push them on, and then I want to go here. And then actually initiated right there. And I go ahead and turn it on the left. You notice right there, I'm not even touching the phone. It's using the controller itself. Initiating the boost. Now within supported games, again, what you need to do is go into the handler, turn it on, and you'll notice that we have some options right there. So we have the controller that we can customize. It sits on the left side. We have the LB, LT, and of course the up, down, right level. So here we're not using these directional buttons to be basically just the directions that we want them. What we're going to do is basically customize them, position them in where we want. Ideally, you're going to do this obviously when you're using the game itself, when you're in the gameplay, not in the waiting area. We can also customize it between right hand and left hand. And of course, once you're done, you'll just go ahead and hit the X, and then now all the buttons have been configured and are ready to use. Keep in mind, 2 buttons on the top, 2 buttons on the bottom. Of course, the joystick as well as the actual directional options. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 customizable buttons to help you have a much better gaming experience. Keep in mind, it's not going to be compatible with everything, but it will basically work great with compatible games. And of course, it just connects there. You get the battery level. You can actually show the right-handed or left-handed mode, unpair, handle calibration if you're having any problems with it, and go back to the home screen, the gaming center or game space, and of course, just enjoy your games. Now, the other accessory that they sent us was the docking station, and this enables us to basically have a much more enhanced gaming experience. And I mean by that is the ability of basically having options to be able to connect with. So it's going to use the Poco pin connector on the bottom, as you can see right there. There are some offsets here to basically make sure that it fits correctly. That little offset right there, connecting it there, and it does have a soft material on the back, so once you put your phone into it, align, snap on, it pretty much just has a really good handle. The first thing you'll notice obviously is now we have a full-size Ethernet port to the back of our device. This is an additional extension for the 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a power connector for USB Type-C. Keep in mind there is no video out, which means we don't have a way of projecting to a display. This is really mostly intended to enhance the gameplay on this and basically give us a much better experience. Now, although we don't have a way of using the custom case when we have the phone docked in here, we have the ability of still using the gaming controller, as this is paired literally wirelessly to the device. So the first and foremost thing we need to keep in mind is that now we have a secondary 3.5mm headphone jack, as we still have the one that's on the top, but now it's positioned to the back. So really, this is intended for us to basically turn on the game space, set this down. As you notice, it does give us a stand. Everything is still exposed, the fans on the back, everything else is open, and also we have the ability of customizing this. So let's go ahead and open it up, and I'll go ahead and turn on the docking station, and you notice right there that the actual logo turns on. Of course, now we have the ability of using the secondary 3.5mm headphone jack and the USB-C. So not only do we have a USB-C port down on the right, a 3.5mm headphone jack at the top, we can now route all of our cables to the back so that we have nothing covering our basically experience that we get here. And we're still able to use the controller. So let's go ahead and turn it on. Using the new dock, we're able to use the full connection here, having an Ethernet port connected directly to our phone. And of course, we can unlock it and get back into the game space. Having the fastest connection to the internet whenever you're playing games is always going to give you the edge over anybody else playing, especially if there's any kind of issues with latency. So for us right now, what I'm doing here, I'm disabling the Wi-Fi first and foremost, as I'm connected via the Ethernet cable. And you'll notice that there is the option right there. It does actually show it right there on our screen. And of course, let's go ahead and do a quick speed test. And this is using the full Ethernet connection, as you can see right there, almost 90 megabits down, 91. And that's always going to be the benefit whenever you're trying to game. Having the fastest connection possible and not having to rely on a very strong Wi-Fi connection will always be very, very beneficial. And then when you're done playing the game, you can actually go back straight to the game space, turn it off, undock it, and then you're able to use your phone the normal way you can. So both of these accessories are sold separately, but both intend to provide us a really good gaming experience on the Red Magic 3. The first and foremost is the docking station. It gives us the ability of having a stand, on top of the fact that it provides us the full Ethernet connection directly to our phone and a clean interface, meaning all the wires that we have on the phone, they're not dangling on the right, so the headphone jack or the USB-C for power. Everything is running to the back, and it basically gives us just a clean interface facing us forward. I would have wished if we had the ability of basically projecting to a bigger display, let's say connecting an MHL connector on the back, but unfortunately with my tests, I could not get it to project anything out of it. So hopefully they can find something in there as far as a software update in the future. But other than that, I think having the full power of Ethernet without having to rely on a strong Wi-Fi or an LTE connection whenever I want to play games is definitely very, very nice. And it just basically enhances and reduces any kind of latency issues that you may have whenever you're playing games. But the gaming controller definitely works really nice. As you saw there with Asphalt 9, it made it so much easier to play the game. I can put the phone, it's a big display with stereo speakers, really high refresh rate. So you definitely want to enjoy that and not have anything kind of dangling in the back. So using it with a docking station was definitely the best experience. Although if you just want to use it on your own and you're, let's say, on the bus, you're traveling, I think the case makes it a little bit more ergonomic to use. So if you're picking that up, making sure you get that together. Other than that, I want to say thank you very much to the Red Magic team to allowing us to basically check out the Red Magic 3. The review is coming out very, very shortly. Max will be doing that for us. But I wanted to share with you guys some of these accessories as they came into the office, and I was like, why not? You know, gaming phones need accessories, and it's always nice when you get first-party accessories that work this well. Like and subscribe as usual. Make sure you check out my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.